Welcome back to Nyack Crime Mysteries. Please subscribe, like and share. Paige Bergfeld appeared to be the perfect wife and mother. The suburban soccer mom of 3 was working hard, running her own business and living for her family when she disappeared in 2008. Her family was stunned. How could this loving mom and loyal friend simply vanish without a trace? Did her ex-husband have something to do with it? And where was her body? It took 9 years, but all of these questions would eventually be answered, and the result would stun Paige's family and friends. Paige Bergfeld was a wonderful mother who adored family gatherings. She was always ready to lend a helping hand to all who needed it. As a single mother whose former husband, Rob Dixon, had moved to Philadelphia, Paige became the sole caregiver for her 3 children seemingly without missing a beat. Then one day on June 28, 2007, Paige simply vanished.
Hi, Mom. I was just wondering when you're gonna leave.
Thursday, June 28, 2007, 8-year-old Jess Dixon picks up the phone and calls her mom, Paige Bergfeld.
Hey, Mom, you are really, really mean. You said you would be back by 1:30 and you haven't even been back.
Jess is worried. It's getting late, and the 34-year-old single mother of 3 hasn't come home.
Please, please, please call someone.
By Friday morning, even more worry. Paige's father, Frank, can't reach his daughter either.
Give me a call on my cell phone. Bye.
All of the calls going straight to voicemail.
Paige, this is Carol. What's going on? I hope you're all right.
Her father Frank and stepmother Susie knew that Paige would never have left on her own. They feared the worst.
Linderholm says it was completely out of character for the hands-on mother to abandon her kids.
She always created costumes for the kids, and she taught a dance class for little toddlers. Everything was centered around the children.
Police started looking into Paige's background, and the first thing they discovered was that Dixon was not Paige's first husband. 10 years earlier, Paige had divorced Ron Biegler, who was her first love. Not only was he her first love, Biegler may have been her last. Shortly before her disappearance, the two had begun dating again. In fact, they had met at a rest stop halfway between their 2 cities on the day she disappeared. Police made Biegler a person of interest. Paige had called him on her way back from their encounter at around 9 p.m., when she was just a few miles from home. The Bergfelds started their own investigation, not believing that Biegler was the most likely suspect. Police kept an eye on the family, but continued methodically interviewing people who had spent time with or contacted Paige in the hours before her death. Soon thereafter, police responded to a 911 call that a red Ford Focus was in flames at an empty lot. It was Paige's car, the same one she was driving on the night she never came home.
911, where's your emergency?
Hi, I'm at the corner of 23 and Logos, and there is a car on fire in the parking lot.
Paige's red Ford Focus is discovered on fire in a parking lot 2 miles from her home.
Do you see flames or smoke?
Yeah, there's a lot of flames, but there's nobody around that I could see.
By the time firefighters arrive, they're able to salvage little. The 4-door sedan was vandalized. The fire.
A few things stood out to detectives. First, the driver's seat was all the way back, even though Paige had been just 5 feet 4 inches tall. Second, her planner was in the trunk with the last 4 pages ripped out, clearly by a person who did not want their identity revealed. Her body, however, was not inside the car. As the plot thickened, police turned to husband number 2 for answers. Rob Dixon had been a successful businessman when he married Paige, but it didn't take long for his investments to fail. Paige picked up the slack by running a preschool dance company and becoming a top salesperson for the Pampered Chef. But Dixon spent money faster than Paige could bring it in. By 2006, Paige had called the police twice because of Dixon's threatening behavior. My husband and I were in a fight, and he wanted the children to stay with him, and he said that I would come home and find them all murdered, she told the 911 operator after the first incident. Just a year later, Dixon was arrested for punching Paige while she was holding their baby. He completed a course in anger management, but the two divorced and Dixon declared bankruptcy and moved away. Although police thought Dixon may have killed Paige, like Beegler, he had a solid alibi. Then, 1 month after the burning car was discovered, police found Paige's belongings, including business cards and letterhead for a company called Models Incorporated, all scattered along a mile of highway near Grand Junction, Colorado. That's when police realized Paige had a secret life. Although her last call had been to Beegler, she had also received several calls that night from other people. As it turns out, they were all clients of Models Incorporated, a secret escort business that Paige ran on the down low. That was when certain extraneous details about Paige's background started to come together to paint a different picture. Paige had long had a love of dance, which she eventually turned into a business teaching children. However, this same passion also expressed itself in a different way when Paige became an exotic dancer shortly before she married her first husband. When Paige's second husband left for Philadelphia, Paige was desperate to remain a supermom and equally desperate to maintain their lifestyle. She drew on her dance background to dream up Models Incorporated, which she ran from a separate office as well as from her home. Only a few of her friends knew about Paige's double life. Paige's business took off quickly, with so much demand that at times she changed her voice on the phone so that clients thought she had a bigger stable of clients than she actually employed.
Those with whom she shared this dirty little secret, as we found when talking to some of them the year she went missing.
She was learning to give massages, lots of people give massages. So I knew that she was doing a little extra on the side, but it fit perfectly.
The little extra was that Paige, for the right price, would perform those massages topless. In fact, she had this ad in the local paper calling herself Carrie, even posing a picture on a website called Naughty Nightlife. That side business, some feared, put her in harm's way.
More and more men were seeking Paige out by using her fake name, Carrie. Paige drew the line at having sex with any of the firm's clients, but she did pick up occasional cash by doing private dances. By reconstructing the phone calls, police found many of the clients of Models Incorporated. That created a lot of extra police work, since they had to find and investigate each one. A ranch hand left Paige a message on the night of her disappearance, stating, "This is John at the Motel 6. Just wondering if you're coming out or not." One man had paid over $14,000 for encounters with escorts, most of which had been by fraudulent checks. A cocaine addict named George Coraluzzo called Paige 20 times on the night she never came home, but he drowned in 2011.
When investigators sat Jones down, they asked him, point blank, "Do you own a track phone?"
Did you buy a track phone? No, sir. Never bought a track phone? Never.
Although these were all attractive suspects, none of them panned out. Then police found Jim, who had placed 2 calls to Paige on the night she went missing. Jim placed the calls from a local Walmart store where he had gone to purchase a track phone. The Walmart surveillance tape ultimately gave police the first look at Paige's killer. His name was Lester Jones. Lester Jones had once been convicted of kidnapping and assaulting his ex-wife. Officers picked him up for questioning, quickly realizing that Jones' second wife had been out of town on the night of Paige's disappearance.
Fear.
Really?
Yeah. He's a very large, overpowering person.
What's the first thing he said to you?
I want sex. I looked at him and I said, then you should probably call another escort service, because it's not going to happen with me.
Carol says he seemed obsessed with Paige. During 7.5 hours of questioning, Jones cooperates fully, letting them take his fingerprints, giving them his DNA, and handing over the keys to his truck.
What are you driving right now?
It's a white Dodge pickup.
White?
Mm-hmm.
A white pickup. Could it be the same white pickup that frightened Paige that night outside her office?
Jones didn't seem to have an alibi, admitting he had left his house between 9 and 10 p.m., exactly when Paige received her last phone calls. Jones was 6'5" tall, which made him the right height to have been behind the wheel of the Ford Focus. Jones had also been working at an RV store that was conveniently located right across from the lot where the car had been found burning. When police searched the junk place, they found incriminating evidence, like handwritten notes about escorts, the kind of sex they would agree to, wigs and Viagra pills. Despite this evidence, there was no direct evidence linking him to Paige's disappearance. As Frank Birdfeld remembers, the only reason Jones was not arrested was because there was still no sign of the body.
In the trash can, we found a box to a track phone, and it had distinct coloring on
it. Through using that packaging, we were able to identify it was purchased at the Walmart on North Avenue in Grand Junction. So we contacted security there, and they were able to provide us video footage of the person buying that phone.
And lo and behold, to our surprise, right there as clear as day was Lester Ralph Jones.
Weren't you on video buying a track phone at Walmart?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
We're asking you, how did the track phone get in your trash? How did that barcode relate to that number being purchased at Walmart at that time? So, I mean, there's a chain of events that...
I can't answer that. I do not know that.
When we put a picture right in front of his face saying, "Is this you?" He said, "Yes, it looks like me, but I did not buy a track phone."
So, we've got 12 pictures of you in there? Wednesday night, on that date, on that time, that the video system's lying.
That changed in 2012 when a group of hikers found a human skull while on a hike 60 miles south of Paige's home. There was duct tape around the jawline to the back of the head. More bones were quickly found across a mile stretch of the Dry Creek bed. They belonged to Paige Birdfeld.
There were some new clues discovered near the remains.
Hopefully, perhaps results will answer the key question: who killed Paige Birdfeld?
How can one human being treat another human being so badly? I mean, what a bad person.
A lot of things that we figured out as a result of finding Paige's remains were key to us putting the investigation together and realizing that we had enough evidence to charge.
In September of 2016, Jones went on trial for murdering Paige.
Today, a man accused of murdering a single mother is set to stand trial in Grand Junction.
Lester Jones charged with kidnapping and murdering Paige Birdfeld.
So, Frank, it's been 9 long years for you to get to this place, that courthouse right there.
Right.
Do you think that you can get justice for Paige?
Listen, I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be, if that's the moment of justice. The prosecutor has to convince absolutely, positively 12 people that Jones is the murderer.
However, the jury came back hung, 6-3. Prosecutors felt that the jury was put off by Paige's double life, but they did not relent. Jones' first wife came forward with tales about the times when he beat her and threatened the lives of her boyfriends.
Witness is Lester Jones' ex-wife, Lisa Naz.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hi.
Remember, she's the one who told us what a nice guy he was during their marriage.
He was a hard worker, and he was just an all-around good guy.
But she also told us that as their marriage crumbled, she saw a very different side of Lester Jones, a dangerous one.
Only whenever we were going through divorce did he ever get aggressive or mean or anything.
And that's the Lester Jones she's called in to testify about.
She suspected Jones had killed Paige because he feared that his second wife was about to find out about Jones' predilection for paid sex. During the second trial, Jones had difficulty sorting through his lies. First, he denied being at the Walmart at all. Then he said he was there to buy a soda. Ultimately, when shown the picture, he said he was there buying a monster cable. Moreover, police dogs had tracked Jones' scent to Page's car. Jones' defense lawyers decided to pursue a strategy that pinned the crime on the man who drowned back in 2011. Despite his lawyers' efforts, Jones went in a completely different direction, stunningly admitting to killing Page. Jones never explained his motives, but finally, in November of 2016, nearly 10 full years after her disappearance, Jones was convicted of murder. He was given a 65-year sentence.
Evidence shows beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Lester Ralph Jones, is the one who did this.
The Bergfeld family has waited so long for this. 9 years, 2 trials, and all the heartache and grief in between. Now it all comes down to this. Will they finally find justice for Page?
We, the jury, find the defendant, Lester Ralph Jones, guilty of count 1, murder in the first degree.
They came back guilty on all counts of first-degree murder, felony murder, second-degree murder for knowingly causing the death of Page, and kidnapping.
Now Page's children must pick up the pieces left by their mother's murder. The eldest child was just 8 when her mother died. She had graduated high school by the time Jones was convicted. Now living with their grandparents, the children have a closer bond with their father, but say they will never forget the mother who would do anything to support them.
There's not a day that passes that I don't think about her. I think about her kids. I think about choices. How we just don't ever know.
If you or someone you know is a victim of domestic abuse, please report it before it's too late. Of all the women murdered in the U.S., about 1/3 were killed by an intimate partner.